It's robbery on the information superhighway. Hackers are breaking into company computer systems, stealing corporate data or blocking access to it, and then demanding millions of dollars to return it. Ransomware attacks have long existed in the shadows, but in 2021 they've become far more frequent and more sophisticated. It might have once been science fiction, but hackers are now able to sabotage the infrastructure of major American cities. In February, a water treatment plant in Florida was hacked, briefly raising sodium hydroxide in drinking water to lethal levels. In March, a massive American insurance company paid $40 million to regain access to their data after being crippled for 2 weeks. In April, the NBA team, the Houston Rockets, reportedly had 500 gigabytes of data stolen, which included player contracts and privacy agreements. On the 1st of May, hackers downed a hospital system in San Diego, stealing the medical data of 150,000 patients and disrupting vital health services for almost a month. That same week, a hack on America's largest fuel pipeline disrupted the gas supply to the East Coast, raising petrol prices and disrupting airline operations. The next day, the Colonial Pipeline CEO paid $4.5 million to the attackers. The FBI was only able to recover about half of it. And in June, the world's largest supplier of beef was knocked offline, halting cattle slaughter at all US plants. The company paid $11 million to the hackers who breached their systems. Unsurprisingly, the US government is calling ransomware a rising national security threat, and Congress is desperately trying to understand how these attacks keep happening.
I made the decision to pay. It was the hardest decision I've made in my 39 years in the energy industry. I believe with all my heart, it was the right choice to make.
Countries typically don't pay ransoms, but there's nothing stopping private companies from doing so. Lawmakers are putting pressure on corporations to do more to protect critical networks.
Did you have a plan for cybersecurity response that included guidance about ransomware?
Senator, specifically, no discussion about ransom and action to ransom.
I am concerned that it doesn't seem to have been a formal factor in your analysis of how much to strengthen your systems.
The US believes most ransomware attacks are being launched from Russia or former Soviet states, where authorities are either complicit or knowingly turning a blind eye. So, when Biden met Putin face-to-face for the first time as US president in Geneva last week, he laid out demands that the Kremlin crack down on ransomware gangs operating on Russian soil.
Responsible countries need to take action against criminals who conduct ransomware activities on their territory. I talked about the proposition that certain critical infrastructure should be off limits to attack, period, by cyber or any other means. I gave them a list.
That list of 16 critical infrastructure sectors are industries considered so vital that their incapacitation would debilitate the United States. But more than a quarter of them have already been hit. Putin has denied Russia played a role in any of the recent attacks, but Biden hinted at retaliation if they didn't stop.
If in fact they violate these basic norms, we will respond.
Putin, for his part, says he wants to cooperate with the US on fighting cybercrime globally.
Наши оценки расходятся, но, на мой взгляд, все-таки с обеих сторон было продемонстрировано желание понять друг друга и искать пути к сближению позиций.
Seeing eye to eye might be easier said than done when neither side fully trusts the other. One way or another, the US seems determined to tackle ransomware. But in trying to stop a threat they can't see coming, carried out by anonymous groups from unknown locations, they certainly have their work cut out. The vulnerabilities may be virtual, but the real-world repercussions can reap millions of victims. Donald Cameron, The Newsmakers.